Hey everyone, welcome to the Team Fit Revolution weekly call. I am super excited because this week we've got another awesome guest speaker, another coach from our team who is going to be sharing what's working for her. And I'm just excited because I love any time that I get to listen and take notes with you guys. So hopefully you got your notepads ready to roll. I got my notepad, my pen, my Shakeology, which I added Orange Recover to today. It's greenberry with Orange Recover and berries, but it's really good. So if you haven't tried that, get some extra protein in my superfoods. So anyways, get yourself together because you are going to want to take notes during this call. Danielle is full of really awesome information and perspective, and you're going to learn a lot. So I'm excited for you guys because this topic actually isn't the most exciting topic. It's the power of cold inviting. We're talking about cold invites, and I feel like no one really gets that excited about cold invites. They're probably kind of on the fence about it. And maybe that's why you're on the call. Maybe you're like, okay, I've heard about this cold inviting thing. I'm not exactly sure if it's for me. I'm not exactly sure how to do it. I'll be straight up honest with you guys. I have not built my business with cold invites. I am definitely someone who relationship builds and takes time to form with people, which has both its pluses and its minuses because it is a long process sometimes to build relationships with people. I'm just constantly planting seeds and waiting for them to sprout. And it's a long process, and sometimes it's hard to know when to actually ask someone to join you. When have you formed and built the relationship enough? And I think often myself and I hear other coaches, we overthink that. When is the right time? And what I love about cold inviting is it's always the right time. And if you've been struggling with that conversion of forming to invites, this can help you overcome it. And like I said, I haven't built my business off of cold inviting because it just hasn't felt very authentic to me. It hasn't felt like the way I want to build my business. Then we were at the leadership retreat at the beginning of March, and we were talking about what we're doing to build our business. And Danielle mentioned cold inviting and how it's been working really, really well for her. And so I asked, what the heck do you say? What do your cold invites sound like? And asked her a bunch of other questions, and she explained kind of how she does this. And I was like, wow, that's not so scary. That's doable. And I think the way Danielle's made cold invites doable, and of course I'll let Danielle share, but the way she's made it doable is she wrote her own script. It sounds like her. It doesn't sound like, the cold inviting script that you might have read about in GoPro or in a network marketing book or heard about in some training. This is Danielle just reaching out to people pretty much, she can talk more about that. So pretty much without having a prior relationship. So super excited to have Danielle on the call tonight. I'm going to go ahead and just let her do most of the talking and introduce her and pass it over. So Danielle has been a coach for 2.5 years now. So she's been doing this for a little while, and I actually had Danielle on the team call when she hit Diamond, or shortly after, and she's been a coach for 2.5 years, like I said, and she lives in Florida. She got engaged on the last Success Club trip in Punta Cana, and she's getting married soon, and she's going to be in Mexico in a week. Super excited to see you there. She has earned 2 Success Club trips for her and her fiance. She's going on next year's Success Club trip as well. She was a Success Starter, which means she hit Success Club the first 3 months in a row as a new coach and earned a free ticket to Summit. And then she is also a Success Club All-Star, which means she has hit Success Club for 12 plus months in a row. And not only has she hit Success Club, she's hit Success Club 10 plus. Right? She just is constantly helping as many people as she can. She sets the bar for herself really high and is constantly pushing herself to help more people. And another thing about Danielle is she was able to go part-time at her full-time job. So she's a part-time coach, works part-time in environmental science, something along those lines. And she was able to cut back her hours at her full-time job, which kind of changed her position a little bit and has made it so much more enjoyable for her. And then she also gets to build her Beachbody business as well. So just know that, you know, like there's so many different ways to do this. Everyone has different goals. The Beachbody fits into everyone's life differently. And it's all about finding how it fits into your life. And I'm really excited to just have Danielle on tonight's call. I'm going to pass it over to you, girlfriend.
Awesome. Hey guys, thanks so much for hopping on the call tonight. I am super excited for Mexico next week. I can't wait. So I know this topic is a little bit hairy, scary, and that sometimes it sounds like super icky and you're like, I never want to be one of those people that like cold calls or cold invites other people. And I thought the same way. Or I felt the same way when I first started coaching, and I didn't start cold inviting until like, I'd probably say like January of this year, maybe a little soon, maybe like December of last year. So I just started, I've been a coach for 2.5 years, and I just kind of started cold inviting because I was like, you know what, like, let me just see how it works. Like, I've never really done it before, but what's the hurt? Someone's going to say no? Oh, they will. So what I did was I wrote my own script, like Lauren said, and I'll share it with you guys in a second. And I was like, made sure that it sounded super like innocent. I wasn't trying to be pushing in any kind of way, just kind of saying like, hey girl, there's this opportunity out there and I think you'd be great at it. And if you want more information, I'm here. If not, like, I'm not going to pressure you into anything. So I'll share the script in a second. But how I kind of got over the fear of it was I wrote the script and I just sent it out, and like over and over and over and over again. Because the more you do something, the more you kind of get numb to the fear. And then eventually when you start getting positive responses, you like start loving it. So, excuse me, I'm like burping up my salad. So before I get into like what I do and like what my process is, I want to let you know that none of this will work unless you're being consistent with your workouts, with your social media, everything like that. Because if you cold invite someone, the first thing they're going to do, like I do all of my cold inviting on Instagram. And the first thing someone does when I cold invite them is go and like check out my page and check out my Instagram stories. Like I can guarantee you, as soon as someone gets a DM from me, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, let me talk to this girl. Like, no, they're going to go stalk the crap out of me. So make sure that you're being super, super consistent on your social media. And I don't know if some of you guys work on Facebook, same kind of deal. Make sure you're posting on Facebook, once a day, twice a day. And on your Instagram, make sure you're posting once or twice a day and you're being really consistent on your stories. And like, I always tell people like Instagram stories are like the cheat code to coaching. Cause like, I feel like people could watch your Instagram story and feel like they know you that much more than if they just read a post, from you. So definitely make sure you're being consistent, and then this will really, really work. I mean, for some people, they don't like it, and that's totally fine. And like, I'm not going to say you have to do this. I'm just saying this works for me, and I know it works for other people. And I know that some of my coaches have been implementing it and getting really positive responses. So let me just share with you. I'm going to share. I'll like post it in the chat. Let's see. So this is like I have one that's a little bit more direct to my tribe, but this is the one I use for people journey. So like if I could from their profile that they're already doing their own thing, whether it be like they're posting food pictures or they're posting pictures of them doing yoga in the park or like any kind of fitness related thing, I will send them this message and it says, hey love, I know this is super random and I'm probably totally out of my league with this question. And then I put in parentheses, I'm also really super nervous to ask, but have you ever considered online fitness coaching? You are super inspirational and exhibit both passion and drive. And I know you can help so many people change their lives for the better. And they're probably like, what are you talking about? Or you don't have enough time. But seriously, I'd love to talk to you about it. If not, no worries. So again, like I'm telling them what I like about them, what I see in them. I'm combating an objection before it even comes up. And I'm also putting like zero pressure on them. I'm saying, if it's not for you, that's fine. But if it is, I'm here. And honestly, a lot of people like just look at it and they're like, huh, like at least maybe if they don't say no, they'll be like, well, can you like tell me more? I've never really heard about this. Or they'll say, oh, I've heard a lot about this. Like I've just never knew how to get started. Or like, oh, I didn't even know this was a thing. Like, tell me more. I really want to know more. And when I first started doing this, as soon as someone was like, oh, tell me more, I was like, okay, like shoot me your email address. And like I had a whole long email that I would send them after they said, I'm interested, tell me more. And it's like explain coaching and everything like that. But I found that email, I don't know about you, but in my generation, like email is just like people just take forever to respond to emails if they ever even do respond. So I was like, okay, email's not really working that well. Let me try to fix it up a bit because I know these people are interested. They're telling me they're interested, but I'm getting lost with the email. So, oh, and another, well, again, I'll come back to that. So when I actually started doing it, I was actually really nervous to do this. Like I'm the kind of person that if you tell me to do something, like I do it without question and I don't like, I'm not like afraid. But this is actually something that did like make me a little nervous. I said to them, as soon as they said like, hey, yeah, I want more information, like, let me know more. I sent to them, I'll show you this. And like, tell me this makes me nervous still sometimes sending this, but it's gotten a really good responses. So I'm just going to keep, so if they're like, hey, tell me more, I say, awesome girl, thanks for being so open-minded and willing to learn more about coaching. I know we just met. Would you mind texting? I find it a lot easier than Instagram DM. If not, here works too, totally don't want to come off as like creep. So again, like no pressure kind of thing. And like, I'm kind of being a little humorous in there with like being creepy. But I'm getting their number, and then like a phone number is the quickest way to get to someone, like to communicate with someone, because like, I don't know, like when I get an email, that's usually like the last thing I check. Like I'm always like, I respond to text the quickest, I respond to Instagram and Facebook messages next, and then email. So I found that when I was asking for their number, then they were like, okay, sure. Like, Leah, let's text. It's easier for me too. And they usually agree with you. They're like, yeah, like texting is way easier than Instagram direct. Or if they say, no, I'm not comfortable with that, that's okay too. You could just continue the conversation on Instagram direct. I'd recommend not really going to email just because it's, like I said, it kind of just gets like a dead end. But if you do go to email, and sometimes I do depending on the circumstances, I always follow up with them via Instagram DM. So I'll be like, hey, did you get the email I sent you? What were your thoughts? Do you have any questions about anything? So that's usually what I do. And then I have like some scripts that go through like describing coaching once I have their phone number. And again, you want to keep it short, sweet, simple, to the point. You don't want to word vomit on them because then they're going to be like, whoa, this sounds like way too much. I can't do this. And you want to make sure that like you're personalizing it to them. So like Lauren was saying, you can form people, and I still do form people. This is not saying that all I do is cold inviting. That's not it at all. Like I still form people that like my stuff, comment, follow, watch my Instagram stories, comment on my, or like, pick something on my polls. Like I always make sure that I reach out to them too. And those are people that I form. I don't send out a cold invite to them or to anything. I will just say, hey, thank you so much for liking my stuff or whatever it is. And I really appreciate the support. Like, are you on your own health and wellness journey kind of thing? So make sure you're still forming too. I'm not saying just do cold inviting because like, that's just, I mean, I don't think you need both in your business. It needs to be a healthy balance of both. So another thing Lauren just said, I was going to get into, thank you for reminding me, is when you have their phone number and you're texting back and forth, I usually get to a point where like, you know, texting only does so much. And like maybe they're super hesitant. Like some people like today, literally I cold invited a girl like 3 days ago, and today she's texting, we were like texting back and forth, and she like got signed up today. So it's like, yeah, like you never know who you're, like this girl today, she was like, you know, I've always been like asked about MLMs, and it just never was the right time, but like I just quit my full-time job and like I'm looking for more opportunities, so you just like found me at the perfect time, like how do I get started? And I was like this is great. And she's like a super go-getter too. Like I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. So you really never know whose like life is being like, who's just like waiting to change, like or something fun to come into their life, or just something new and different. Really do, and like how perfect your timing can actually be. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So when you're texting back and forth, sometimes you hit a point where they're like super wary of it, and they're like, you know, I don't really know if I want to do this, or so that's when I set up a phone call with them. And I know this sounds super scary, and like believe me, when I first started having coaching calls like about coaching, I was super nervous that I'd say the wrong thing. Like I was trying to always be super PC and like never say anything wrong. But when you do these calls, just be you and be honest. Like tell them about the opportunity, what it's done for you, what it's done for people that you know. Like don't tell them like the story of like, I don't know, Melanie Mitro, like, they're not going to come into this and be afraid. Maybe they will, but most likely they're not going to come into this and be our next Melanie Mitro. So just be you and like tell your story. Tell them why you love coaching so much, what it's done for you. And usually like the phone call and like just people hearing your voice too is so much more personal than like texting. So make sure that like if you do feel comfortable with this, I'm not saying you have to in any way, shape, or form, but if you feel comfortable, like closing a coaching thing is the easiest to do via phone. And like the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. And honestly, because I've talked on the phone so much with people about it, like I used to be like super like awkward in person talking about it, but now I could just like talk to someone about it without even like batting an eye and like in person. And it's just like, because I was doing all these like phone calls and everything and just like getting myself out there and like, you know, punching fear in the face because I was like, you know what, like this is just, and like Lauren said too, like forming can take a lot of time and you never really know when the right time is to invite to coaching. But like when you're just sending a cold invite off, like either the person's interested or they're not. That's it. You don't have to like, not saying you're wasting your time like building this whole long relationship just for them to say no. But like, again, you have to be doing a little bit of both, or you don't have to be, but you could choose to do a bit of both. And I honestly think that you'll be surprised how many people like say, yes, I'm interested, like tell me more, because you never know who's on Instagram that's like either watching you or like just needs you in their life. You never know who's like just like dreading the next day they need to go to work because they just hate it so much and they just need another source of income. Like you don't know whose life you can change by just shooting them a cold invite at the right time in the right place. Like you really don't. And it's just been like such, I'm just trying to look at my notes, see if I miss anything. It's just been like such a game changer in my business. And like, honestly, if they say no, I usually am like, okay, like no worries, the opportunity is not for everyone. And then I'll kind of get to know them a little bit. And then I'll invite them to a challenge group. Okay, so maybe coaching is not for them, but who knows if they need help with their health and fitness goals. Like that's a whole new relationship that you're like, you know, they said no to coaching, but that's okay. Like you can still build a relationship from there and then form them after the cold invite and then be like, hey, you know, I have a challenge group coming up. Do you want to join it, kind of thing. So that's kind of my method. I don't really have like, it's not like a super intricate topic, but that's what I do. And if you guys have any questions, like feel free. And like also another thing too is when I cold invite to coaching, I find my tribe on Instagram before I cold invite. Like I'm not just cold inviting every Joe Schmo. Like I make sure that this person looks like someone I would get along with in real life. So like I go for people that are super outdoorsy, like because I'm an environmental scientist and marine biologist. Like I love being outside. I spearfish, I hike. Like I literally travel all the time just to do those things. So I look for people that are super outdoorsy. I look for people that have cats because I'm like totally a crazy cat lady. I don't go for people that are not in my niche. Like they're gonna look at my page and be like, this, like I don't connect with this girl at all, and like it'll just be like a flat conversation. But literally every person, and like my cold invite looks a little different than the one I sent you guys because I'm targeting my niche, which are usually people that are hiking all the time, exploring all the time, like to travel. So make sure you're really targeting your niche before you send out cold invites, because if you just like literally cold invite anyone, like it's just not going to work the same. People are going to be like, why did this girl message me? Like she doesn't look like she has anything in common with me. So definitely make sure that you're finding your niche before you cold invite. And if you need help finding your niche, like think of the 5 things that describe you. Like for me, definitely cats. I'm a vegetarian. I love the outdoors. I'm engaged. Like I'm planning for my wedding. And then I love, you know, health and wellness kind of thing. So think of like your 5 things that really describe you, and then like search those hashtags on social media and you'll find people that you're like, wow, that girl looks super cool. Like I'd love to reach out to her kind of thing. But yeah, that's really all I have, guys. Does anyone have any questions? Sorry if that was kind of quick, Lauren.
No, short and sweet. I think we all appreciate that and can get so much value from it. It doesn't have to be an hour-long training to get something really, really golden from it. And like, to me, you guys, this call was gold. If you guys have any questions, type in the chat box and I'm sure Danielle will answer like anything. Ask anything. Danielle, I guess have a question for you. So let's pretend that we're all Danielle's personally sponsored coaches right now and Danielle's our coach. Can you give us a challenge a cold inviting challenge to kind of do after this call, and we can report back and say how it went for us, like in the team page or something like that?
Yeah, sure. Send out 10 cold invites to your tribe on Instagram.
Okay. So everyone after this call, if you're your own business owner, so I'm not telling you what to do. If cold inviting still isn't your jam after listening to Danielle, then fine. But I don't really think you can determine that until you give it a fair shot, until you try what she just talked about. And like, to me, like all the things that she pointed out, it makes it so doable. You're only reaching out to literally your dream clients, your dream coaches. You're reaching out to people you genuinely want to connect with. You're being genuine in your message and in how you approach it. And you're connecting with them on a personal level. Oh my gosh, you guys, I can't say enough about phone calls for closing people. If you're not doing it, get over your damn self, read the book, because that's when I started doing cold invites, is when I read Get Over Your Damn Self. And she called me out in so many ways, and I've been doing phone calls ever since, and I haven't never looked back. But I still get nervous sometimes, you know? It's not to say like, but like Danielle said, like once you've done it, it's like, it's easy.
Yeah.
Any
It's
questions?
honestly easier than like, it sounds horrible, but it's easier than going through the forming process. And it's less painful too. Like if someone says no, you're like, oh, all right, like I don't really know you that well. But if you say you spend like days, months, weeks getting to know someone, and then you give them an invite and they say no, it hurts a lot more than if you just like kind of shoot someone a cold message and they're like, no, you're like, okay. Okay, has anyone else had an issue giving their number out, concerned about giving mine out? Yeah, Jenny has had some issues with clients that like either just keep phone calling, like calling her when she's at work. I've never had this issue, but I know she's had this issue. So that's a good question. I don't mind giving my phone number out just because I've never had that issue. So like, I'm not afraid of it, but like she's gone through it. So I guess, has anyone else gone through that? And if you have like any tips on what you do?
Maybe just I haven't had anyone ever call me, and I've given out my phone number to so many people. I would say maybe set some like guidelines, or like, hey, let's text. I don't know, like that you're not available unless you are doing regular phone calls with people. But like setting some sort of expectation of like what the relationship looks like, because yeah, that would not be okay. I would not be okay if people were calling me at all hours of the day. Like, yeah, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say one more thing and I just lost it. Oh yeah. Oh, about the phone call thing. Like you're like, oh, some of you guys might be thinking, like, I know everyone on here is busy. Like a lot of you guys are working other jobs, you're moms, you have a family, you have a life, right? And so you're like, I don't have time to get on the phone with people. And this is what I have found, which I think Danielle's process totally aligns with. If someone's going to give you their phone number, they're probably pretty interested, right? Like they're not going to give you their phone number if they're not actually interested. And then I schedule a phone call with someone. They're only going to get on the phone with me if they're really interested. So it eliminates all these wishy-washy prospects. And I'm really focusing my time in with the people that truly are considering this opportunity or willing to invest in themselves. Like they understand that there's going to be some commitment on their end, right? And so what I have found is I'm talking to more interested, hot prospects, for lack of a better word. And the other thing is it eliminates, it really will save you time in the long run. Yes, you may have to, how long are your calls, Danielle? I'm curious.
20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. I make mine 30 minutes tops, and 20 is really much better. But you can have headphones in. I can do phone calls while I'm out and about running errands. Like I don't normally do them on Zoom. I do them on the phone so that I can be out living my life. And it's not something where I'm necessarily sitting down at my computer to do at this point, because I know how to do them. And so it gives me really freedom and flexibility. And I find that a 30-minute phone call for me ends up being less time spent than messaging back and forth for 6 months, which I've totally gotten caught in the trap of doing with people. Not that I don't care, but your time is valuable as well.
Yeah, and another thing too with texting, well, if you have iPhone, is you can do voice message, which is just like real nice, because it's just like someone can, even if you're just explaining something, like say you don't have a script for something and like they ask a question that you don't have a script for, you could just voice message, they hear your voice, they hear your passion, and it's just so much easier for them to like feel like they know you, you know?
Yeah. Any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself. I'm going to take the 10 cold invite challenge. I have another call after this one, but then I'm going to do it. So I hope you guys do it with us, and I'll make a post in the team page so that everyone can like report back. Actually, let's take a photo. I'm going to stop the recording here if there's no questions.